Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we're heading over to Amsterdam, to the Rijksmuseum.
Oh, the Rijksmuseum, a personal favorite, 800 years of Dutch art and history all in one place.
800 years. That's incredible. But honestly, when I think art museum, I kind of think, well, dusty old paintings.
That's where the Rijksmuseum really surprises you. Sure, they've got the classics, but they present it all in such a vibrant, dynamic way. Well, take the Asian bronze exhibit, for example. It's not just about looking at sculptures, it's about, well, experiencing them. The coolness of the metal, that resonant sound.
Like the sound, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about that. You can almost hear history echoing in those pieces, can't you?
Precisely. And the scent, too. We often forget that every material has its own unique aroma. It adds another layer to the whole experience. And this exhibit takes you on a journey, really. You're talking about 4,000 years of Asian art masterpieces from India, China, Korea, all connected by this incredible medium of bronze.
It's like stepping back in time. And speaking of rare finds, didn't they manage to snag some incredibly rare pieces on loan for this?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine a sculpture that's been a national treasure in Japan for centuries, maybe even used in ceremonies, and now it's right there in front of you, in Amsterdam. That's the kind of global perspective the Rijksmuseum is known for. They're not afraid to, push boundaries and showcase those unexpected connections.
It's like they've curated a global conversation through art. Speaking of conversations, this photographer, Edo Hartman, who they're featuring, his work seems to capture a very specific kind of dialogue.
Edo Hartman. Oh, he's a fascinating one. See, Hartman focuses on these massive Dutch music festivals, but what he captures isn't just the spectacle of it all, it's the individual moments within the chaos. You'll see a photograph of this huge crowd, and then he zooms right in on a single face, and suddenly you're experiencing that festival on a whole other level.
He finds the humanity in these massive events, and they're showcasing work from young photographers alongside his, right? Like a mentorship kind of thing.
Absolutely. The Document Netherlands Junior Competition, it's a fantastic way to nurture young talent. These aspiring photographers, all under 21, they respond to the same themes as Hartman, offering their own perspectives. It's fresh, it's insightful.
I love that they're giving these young artists a platform. Okay, so we've got ancient bronzes, we've got contemporary photography. The Rijksmuseum really does run the gamut, huh? But for those of us who can't get enough of the Dutch masters, tell me there's something in store for us too.
Of course. We can't talk about the Rijksmuseum without mentioning Rembrandt. In fact, they're in the midst of something truly extraordinary. The largest restoration project ever undertaken on his masterpiece, The Night Watch. They're calling it Operation Night Watch, and it's absolutely groundbreaking.
Okay, hold on. Operation Night Watch. That sounds intense. What makes this restoration so unique? Tell me more.
Well, you see, with a painting as old as The Night Watch, you're not just talking about a little dusting here and there. It's almost 400 years old at this point.
400 years. Wow.
The paint layers, they become so fragile over time, So this Operation Night Watch, it's about going way beyond using these advanced imaging techniques, really getting down to a microscopic level.
So what are they, like X-raying it or something?
Even more detailed than that, they're analyzing Rembrandt's brushstrokes, the different layers of paint, trying to understand his process, the materials he used.
That's like they're piecing together a puzzle, but instead of, cardboard, it's a masterpiece.
A masterpiece, exactly. And here's the real kicker. Visitors to the Rijksmuseum can actually watch the restoration as it happens.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. They've built this incredible glass chamber right around the Night Watch. You're right there, alongside the art historians and scientists, witnessing history in the making.
Now that's an experience I can get behind. Speaking of making art accessible, though, I was reading about how the Rijksmuseum goes all out for families, too. What's the story there?
Oh, they're fantastic with families. Like in October, they do this whole family month with Donald Duck thing.
Hold on, Donald Duck.
I know, it sounds a little strange, but trust me, it works. They create these interactive trails throughout the museum. There's this junior woodchuck route. Kids follow clues, learn about the artwork.
So it's like a scavenger hunt through an art museum.
You got it. And for the, shall we say, more technically inclined youngsters, they have Gyro Geerloos's Inventors Lab.
Gyro Geerloos? I haven't heard that name in years.
He's a classic for a reason. And this lab, well, it lets kids get hands-on, experiment with different materials, create their own art, all inspired by what they've seen in the museum.
That's fantastic. They really put a lot of thought into this. They even have a family-guided tour, right? What's special about that one?
Ah, the family tour. That one's a real treat. See, they take this multi-sensory approach. It's not just about looking at the art, it's about touching different textures, listening to soundscapes, even smelling scents that relate to the artwork.
Wow, talk about bringing those paintings to life. It sounds like a full-on sensory experience. It really seems like they've thought of everything to create this welcoming, engaging environment for families. And speaking of diverse perspectives, we can't forget about Tonya Milgens.
Ah, Tonya Milgens, a true pioneer.
For those who haven't heard of her, she was a leading figure in the Dutch women's rights movement, right?
Exactly. And the Rijksmuseum, they recently acquired this striking portrait of her, which they've given a prominent spot in their 20th century exhibition.
It's so important to see those stories represented, art as a reflection of social change, the fight for equality. It's all connected. Okay, but before we get too sidetracked, we can't forget about the main man himself.
You talking about Van Gogh.
Who else? I hear they've got a whole exhibit dedicated to his work.
3X Van Gogh, they call it. And it's not just about showcasing his famous works. It's about tracing his evolution as an artist through 3 very specific paintings.
So each painting represents a different period in his life.
Exactly. They start with Van Gogh's time in Amsterdam, where he was deeply moved by Rembrandt's work, The Jewish Bride, specifically, which is, of course, housed in the Rijksmuseum.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that connection was there.
It's all connected. And you can see that Rembrandt influence in Van Gogh's early work. Take View of Amsterdam from Central Station. He captures this industrial energy, but with this kind of somber palette,
You can practically see the smokestacks and feel the city's energy through that description.
Precisely. Then the exhibit shifts to Van Gogh's time in Paris. This is where he really starts experimenting with color, inspired by the Impressionists.
Ah, Paris. You can practically taste the croissants and smell the fresh paint. Which painting represents this period?
They've chosen Riverbank with trees. The colors just explode off the canvas, vibrant greens, blues, yellows. You can see those characteristic short brushstrokes starting to emerge.
You can practically feel the energy of Paris radiating from those brushstrokes. And then, of course, he ends up in Arles. Right?
Yeah, Arles. Exactly. It's like the culmination of his artistic journey. The intense light, the vibrant colors of the countryside, it all comes together in his later works.
It's like you can practically feel the heat just thinking about it. Which painting did they choose to represent this period?
They went with Wheatfield. And it's perfect. You see those thick, swirling brushstrokes, those vibrant yellows and blues. You can practically feel the wind blowing through those fields.
It's incredible how a single painting can evoke such a strong sensory experience.
Yeah.
And to think, they have not one, but 3 Van Goghs, all in one place.
And what makes it even more special is that these paintings are on loan from the P&N de Boer Foundation.
So they're from a private collection.
Yes. It's amazing that they've chosen to share these masterpieces with the public.
It speaks to the power of art, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How it can bring people together. And speaking of experiencing art in different ways, we have to talk about this Best of the Rijksmuseum tour. I hear it's quite unique.
Oh, it is. You see, most museum tours, they're very structured, right? You follow a set path, see the highlights.
Right, you check off the must-sees and that's that.
Exactly. But with the Best of the Rijksmuseum tour, they encourage interaction. Of course, you'll still see the big ones, the Night Watch, the Jewish Bride, even those imposing Asian temple guards from the bronze exhibit, but...
Well, there's always a but.
The guide actually takes cues from the group. Participants can voice their interests, ask questions, even suggest detours to see specific artworks that catch their eye.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure through the Rijksmuseum. I love that. What a great way to make the experience more personal.
One word to describe the Rijksmuseum. That's tricky. But, I think it might be connection.
Connection. Yeah, I see that.
When you think about it, that's what the Rijksmuseum does so well, don't you think?
Yeah.
It connects us to the past, to those incredible masters like Rembrandt and Vermeer.
Right. And not just through their famous works, but through those little details, those hidden stories that the museum reveals.
Absolutely. Like, we talked about Van Gogh being inspired by the Jewish Bride, but there are countless other connections like that woven throughout the museum. It's a web of inspiration and influence spanning centuries.
And what I love is that it doesn't end with the old masters. The Rijksmuseum connects us to the present, too, you know, with contemporary artists like Edo Hartman, with stories like Tonya Milgens' fight for equality.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, this is art, but it's also history, it's culture, it's the human experience.
And it's all connected, right? The past, the present, those threads running through everything.
It's a powerful feeling to stand in those galleries and feel that connection.
It really is. And, you know, when I think about it, the Rijksmuseum itself is a testament to human connection.
How so?
Think about it. All those artists, curators, historians, even the folks painstakingly restoring the Night Watch, they're all connected by this passion for art, for preserving it, for sharing it with the world.
It's a collaborative effort, for sure.
Yeah.
A labor of love that's been passed down through generations.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Rijksmuseum so special, I think. It's a living testament to that shared human experience. Yeah.
It is. It's not just a building full of artifacts. It's a living, breathing organism constantly evolving, reflecting who we are, where we've been, maybe even where we're going.
Wow. Beautifully said. Okay, folks, if you haven't added the Rijksmuseum to your bucket list yet, what are you waiting for?
Get there. And in the meantime, don't forget that art is all around us, waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. So get out there, explore, ask questions, and most importantly, stay curious.
Here, here.
That's it for today's deep dive. We'll catch you next time.